All right, JP Paul Geyer Partners, contents, purpose, scope, responsibility, strength, air content, cement aggregates, admixtures, polysans, miscellaneous material, water sampling, testing, material leveling, delivery, storage, material grading, control, proportioning, subgrade base forms and string lines, batching, mixing, placing, field testing specimens, finishing, curring, grades are for the smoothness, requirement, tolerance, pavement thickness, repairs of defective pavement, slab joints, pavement protection, measurement, and references. This publication is adapted from a unified facility criteria on the United States government and in public domain is authorized by the unlimited distribution and is not copyrighted. Purpose: the publication provides information for the material for the construction proceed with the concrete pavements. 2. Scope: the publication describes the constitute with the BU of the concrete, procedure with the BU of the manufactured concrete, and the equipment procedure for the place for the texture for the cure of the concrete pavements. 3. Responsibility, strength, and air content. Responsibility for mixturing, proportioning. Responsible for administering proportioning must be clearly assigned with the eve of the contractor, with the contracting officer, with the contracting officer, the owner, agent of the project may be referred to by other name of the project engineer, field engineer, inspector, etc. And the project specification with the contracting officer responsible for mixturing and proportioning will approve the concrete materials, as well as determine and adjust the proportion of the concrete mixture with the necessary to obtain with the strength of the quality of the concrete required with the payment of the cement will be separate payment item of the contract. When the contractor is responsible for mixturing proportionate, he will control all of the proportion of the concrete mixture of the necessary for the to obtain the strength of the quality of the concrete required for the pavement and cement not be separate paid item of the contract. However, the contracting officer will be responsible for approving the quality of all the materials of the contract of the concrete. 3-2 approval of the responsibility. The contracting officer is responsible for approval of all the mixture proportions of the plant with the construction equipment, the construction proceed with the proposed with the use of the contract. With the contractor must submit with the proposed mixture with the responsible for the mixture proportioning samples of the material, the detailed description of all of the payment, all the plans, construction payment, equipment, and proposed for the construction plan procedure for the prior of the start of the construction. Flexure strength with the structural design of the base and with the flexural strength of the concrete expected with it to obtain 28 days of the pavement with 90 days of the airfield pavements. Age if it's not adequate with the quality control fields and with a large amount of low strength concrete could be placed in before the strength test with the sample to reveal the problem. Correlations could be established between 14-day strength and 28 to 90-day strength. Even the design and correlate with the 14-day strength can be used as a strength check of the more timely concrete mixture in the field. 331 Materials and flexural strength. So select the flexural strength of the design pavement with include with the concrete specification for the contracting officer should be reliable information regarding the flexural strength of the object with the acceptable concrete materials that are available to the design of the project with a typical design of the flexural strength paving quality concrete with a vary from 50 to 750 pounds per square inch with the numerous tests indicate with a considerable variation flexural strength concrete the differential aggregate with the different cements used. These some of the indication aggregated shape of the modulus elasticity of the relative the most important of the concrete flexural strength compressive strength also after the optimal flex strength is reached with the use of a little increase of the strength even with the largest increase of the cement content. Mixture proportioning studies will be made with the corner for the ACI 211.1 to determine the flexural strength of the with the design of the project water cement ratio strength relation for the mixture proportion for the AC 211.1. Given the terms compressive strength of the table of 1, given the approximate design relating to the concrete modulus rupture for the compressive strength, water with the cement ratio relation for the given the AC 211.1 and aggregate with the cement material with the mixture with the admixture with the mixing proportionate study with the representative of the material used available to pavement construction. In selecting flexural strength of the pavement, the design suitable allowance will be variation for the strength to indicate with the test differential combination for the aggregated cement. Pavement designs will be based on the realistic economical strength that obtained with available materials. Ratio of compressive strength 28 days and the approximate range of the module rupture PSI water cement ratio by weight non-air entrained concrete air entrained concrete. All right, 332. Selecting field strength, field control strength. Want to make sure proportional select with the provide with the required with the design flexural strength with the 28 to 90 days and correlated 14-day strength to develop with the laboratory testing field control strength with the selected, such as 80% of the consecutive 14-day flexural strength test result of the fall above. 14-day field control strength is determined by field control is equal to field coordinated minus 0.87 and SD, or 14-day field control strength is equal to 14-day flexural strength with correlated required 28 to 90-day strength times minus 0.84 times standard deviation flexural strength results. Sufficient test results are not available to establish reasonable standard deviation of the mixture of the coefficient for the variation standard deviation mixture flexural strength divided means of the mixture flexural strength that may be estimated the 10% of the large project with the good quality control is about 15-20% of the smaller job and job of relatively poor quality. Test specimen. Flexural strength will be made with a module beam with a specimen with a 66 by 6 inches cross-sectional dimension according with the ASTM C78. Generalization testing specimen necessary because of the variation of the flexural strength obtained with the specimen with a different size, 6 by 6 inch. Molded beam specimen must also be flexural strength determination both for laboratory and field. 3-4 air content. Effects of air entrapment. Air-entrained concrete will require for all the concrete pavement the air treatment with improved the workability and placement of the characteristics of the freshly mixed concrete required with the freezing with the thawing with the resistant the hardness concrete with the use of the entrain with the air concrete. Reduce the strength because of the improve the workability with fresh mixed concrete with adjustment of the aggregated proportion with the reduce the water with the normal, possibly with the negate. Little minimize the loss of strength proportional proper proportion control of the air and train concrete mixture with the essential with the order derive maximum benefits with the improve the placeability with the durability of the concrete minimum effect of the flexural strength. 342% of the air content. The specified air content will be between 6 plus from minus 1/2% of the concrete may have been located regions. Resistance to the freezing of the thawing of the prime consideration will be 5 plus 1.5% of the concrete pavement located with the region with the frost action. It is not factored within treatment and used the primary to improve the workability, placeability, fresh mixed concrete, air content control of the field at the point when specified range must appropriate local conditions depending on the severity of the exposure quality and maximum size of the aggregate, but also slag aggregate. Use the air contact determined with the volumetric method as described in ASTM C173 with the aggregate with the comparative poor quality where an admixture is 1% inches or less than air content control with a 6 or plus minus 1% of such instances where resistant freezing thawing is not prime consideration, the air content 5 plus or minus 1%. If further reduction air content, even the non-entrained air concrete is necessary, prior approval will be obtained with the design engineer. Or cement content. Either the contractor or the contractor officer may be responsible to make sure proportion for the contractor responsible to make sure the proportion separate of the payment will be made with the cement with the contracting officer the responsible to make sure proportion for the no limit of the quantity of the cement. Contact will include with the contracting specification quantity of cement used per cubic yard with the concrete will be determined with the contracting officer. Cement will be paid with the separate bid item. When the concrete proposed will give the paving project with a cement content less than 470 pounds per cubic yard. Prior to approval, there will be obtained with the design engineer for the concrete proportion of the responsibility with the contract for cement concrete. The cement content less than 470 pounds per cubic yard. The results should be verified with the two commercial laboratories prior to the submittal of the result of the mixture and proportion of the type of the proposed aggregate with the cement, and the result of the quality of the test for the aggregates and on resulting concrete will be submitted a request for the approval. 4 cement. 5 Portland cements designated with the type 1 through 5 of the R mark today. ASTM 150 C150 provide the detailed specification of the cement type 1 Portland cement with the common ordinary cement with the supply unless otherwise specified. Type 2 modified Portland cement provides a moderate resistance against sulfate attack and lower heat with the hydration of the type 1 cement. It is common for the cement to be manufactured to meet physical chemical requirements of both type 1 and type 2 cement. Type 3 cement is a highly early strength cement. Ultimate strength is about the same as the type 1 cement and type 2 cement has a 3-day compressive strength approximately equal to type 1 cement and the 7-day strength of the cost. The cost of the type 3 can sit in lieu of types 1 and 2 cement can only be justified with the early strength of the gain needed to open the pavement with the traffic high heat hydration need for the cool of the concrete periods. Type 4 cement has a low heat hydration youthful and mass concrete not likely to be encountered in pavement construction. Type 5 sulfate resident concrete speed of the concrete will expose the surface of the sulfate attack of the potential surface of the sulfite attack as if the concrete exposed with the water soluble sulfite soil and water excess of 0.2% to or 1,500 parts per million potential modulated sulfate attack exists in sulfate cement succeed 100 to or 150 parts per million. High aluminous cement, also known as aluminous and calcium illuminate cement, give the most strength within 1 day with a higher exothermal resistant with a chemical attack working factory. Material exposed with a warm moist condition where they undergo long-term strength loss. High aluminum cement may be found with some of the specialized application in the pavement construction with a rapid strength gain with a high exothermal refractory property outweighs cost long stream strength loss. There are also some expensive cements designated types K, M, and S, ASTMC 845. They may be found some of the application concrete shrinkage needed to be minimized and avoided. However, they're little experience with these cements and they will require careful investigation before used pavement construction. 4 or 5. At least one United States manufacturer is actively promoting slag cement made by grinding iron blast slag, furnace slag. This may be substituted up to 50% of the Portland cement in the pavement mixture, and the test should be required. Final properties achieved with a hard and concrete pre-blended mixture with the Portland Pozzolan type IP, Portland slag cement type IS, and described in ASTM C595 as acceptable for use in pavements. R5 aggregates. Approval of aggregate for the contractor with the aggregate with the approved stroke for the contractor proposed with the aggregate with the unapproved stroke for the government responsible for conducting testing with to determine whether the proposed aggregates will meet with the requirements of the project. Sampling aggregated delivery cost will be borne by the contractor. The contractor specification will state aggregated sample to decide with the delivery location and required evaluation time for the proposed aggregate with a smaller job with 1,600 cubic yards less of the concrete. All testing aggregates for the unapproved source will be done by the contractor. Quality aggregates most generally meet with the requirements of ASTM C33 with the modified with the following paragraph with the requirements of the adjusted with the necessary to reflect with the local experience with the specific aggregate with the ensure with the economical use aggregates to meet the requirements of the magnesium sulfate soundness test for the ASTM C88 required with the ASTM C33 has not been consistently successful identified with the frost resistant aggregate with consequently otherwise suitable against the aggregated failed within the test and should be further investigated by either the freezing and thawing tests described in ASTM C666, ASTM C8682. Board is finally rejected similarly and otherwise with the suitable with the aggregated with the Los Angeles abrasion test ASTM C131 and C535. It can be accepted if the historical or local use shall be processed without unacceptable degradation, durable with the under weather traffic condition, comparable to the project under investigation. Recycled concrete as aggregated with existing concrete may take over the crush with a suitable gradation with the the concrete aggregated. It must meet all of the requirements of the gradation with the quality of the conventional aggregate with the must meet with all the reinforcement. Steel should be removed during crushing. Hammer mill secondary crusher for the tend to produce the excess fine should not be used to recycle the concrete aggregates will not require washing unless they have been contaminated with base upgraded material of the original pavement to be recyclable to decrack with the concrete should be crushed to a maximum of 3/4 inch with the crush of the concrete base for the fine aggregate inclusion some of the natural and may be required to improve the new concrete mixture workability. Alkali aggregated reactions. Mineral cement aggregates can chemically react with the cement alkalis, resulting in an increase of the volume of the plate for the concrete under expensive of the test stress of the result of the map cracking, pop-out, strike, off the concrete expansion. When started reacting, the result of the progressive deterioration of the concrete may be stopped with the reaction with the generally associated with the aggregate with the contained with the property or with the silica, such with the opal, chalcedone, charit, flint, and alkyl silica. Reaction complex layer lattice silicated mineral for the gray wakes, phyllites, siltstone, agrolites. Some differentiated alkaline silica reaction aggregate sold with the domestic limestone alkaline carbonate reaction. A petrographic investigation conjunction with the result of the test of the corn with the ASTM C227 alkali silica expansion ASTM C586 for the alkaline carbonate expansion. Most promising approach for identify these problems. If possible, reactive with the aggregate should be avoided with the community low alkali cement should be specified. Low alkali cement is not available to really expensive some of the povidone slag cement that have been successfully counteracting alkali silica reactions of reactive aggregated must be blended with a non-reactive and aggregated to lessen the effect of the reaction. Coarse aggregated composition. Coarse aggregated must be natural, maybe the natural gravel with the crushed stone with the crushed recycled concrete, iron blast, slag, furnace slag. The crushing of the gravel tends to improve the quality of the bonding and character of the general result within the higher fluxural strength of the concrete. Uncrushed gravel is achieved with the mixture of the proportion study with the local experiment with an indicator of the flow fluxural strength will be obtained with the uncrushed gravel. Possibility of obtaining high strength by crushing gravel investigated elongated particles with thickness ratio the excess of 3 more than but not exceed 20% of the weight with determined by the CRD C119. This is a requirement attempt to avoid introducing structural plan weakness finishes with the concrete workability problems associated with excess particle with these shapes. Durability problems developed in the air and water, air trapped under flat, elongated particles. Alright, size and grade with the maximum size of the course for the aggregate U for the pavement, the grade shall not exceed 1/4 of the pavement, the case for the course aggregate with the exceed 2-inch maximum size. However, the pavement, the construction of the action for the aggregated pop-outs for the head and the problem may occur with the course aggregate with will not exceed 1.5-inch nominal maximum size. Area with a D line crack pavement has been problem. The limestone aggregate should not exceed 1/2-inch. Nominal maximum size should be low absorption when the nominal size of the course aggregate is greater than 1 inch. The aggregate shall be furnished if the two size groups shown in Table 2 with the gradings are separated size group conforming with the requirements of Table 3. Local practice for the size grouping separation other than shown in Table 2. The local size grading may be specified approximately the same size range and are point with the grade course of the aggregate with the combined bands for the concrete required with the mixture proportion for the project requiring 1,600 cubic yards or less for the concrete. Special requirements for the grading of the aggregate with the corner of the local practice may be substituted with the gradings. Local state department of transportation specification grades may be used with the job requiring 1,600 cubic yards or less of concrete. Table 2 show the course aggregated size groups, 1 and 1/2 inch and 2 inches. And then you show the size C of the U.S. standard mass percent weight passing individual number 4 to 3/4 inch, 4 to 1 inch, 3/4 inch, 1 and 1/2 inch, 1 inch to 2 inch. And show the grading course aggregated deleterious substances. Pavements made used by aircraft. Table 4 lists the common deleterious substance with the specified limits of these materials, the performance history of the local aggregates contributing of the pavement, the defects of the determining factor setting of the limits of the deleterious substance, limits of the intent of eliminate with the pop out whether they're out to airfield, the pavements of the other deleterious substance known with the contributed pop outs of identified with the contracting officer, subsuitable limit to specified with the calcium oxide, magnesium oxide mixture thereof, and lump the representative of the burning oxide, the fluxing stone, the refractory brick, which should be added with the list of the deleterious substances. Air-cooled blast furnace slag is used with the aggregate with strength of the type of the materials product. Producing pop-outs will vary with the different areas. Some of the adjustments of the limits have been made desirable to individual project reduction. Specified limits have been made as necessary for the permanent use of the local aggregate with a have accessible experience with the required record will be governed by special procedure. Other payments limiting amount with the deleterious substance within each side of the corrugates will be specified and shown in the table 5 of the other deleterious substance will be identified by the contracting officer and suitable limits specified with the materials defined when necessary. Table 5 show the material. Table 4 with the material shale, clay lump shale with the material defined with the number 200 C light particle with the clay iostron. Areas of proportion: severe weather, moderate weather. Areas of minor pop outs, severe weather, and moderate weather. And then materials and table 4 is continued. Alright, table 5, material K lumps, friable particle of those 2.0 weight, material finer than 200 sleep 1.0 weight, lightweight particles 1.10, other soft particles 2.0. Hard slag aggregated. Iron ore blaster with the aggregate widely ranging with the properties depending on the manufacturer cooling process. With the unaged blasting slag with the may contain free line with the adding reduce the acceptable lump of the property with the age with the iron ore blast furnace aggregate with a good history with the performance slag from the steel mill. However, it is not acceptable with concrete aggregated because of the various oxide it contains fine aggregated. Composition and shape of the equipment with the composition particle with the shape of the fine aggregate with the poorly descriptive, for example, the natural and or manufactured sand and cylindrical cubical. No limits are shown. Limited will be induced in flat and or elongated particle with the fine aggregate with the comparable limited specified with the coarse aggregate with the testing give the poor particle shape with the effective with the workability with the quality of the concrete shape with the determinant form with the CRC C120 grading with a uniform grading with the delirious substance with the grading with the uniform grading specified with the table 6 with the aggregated or desirable to pavement concrete can generally be reasonable within the continental light size. However, the conformance with the requirements with the result of the undo with the construction cost of the investigation of available source of fine aggregated local indicates that the limits of the other specified desirable to request the submitted with the design engineer of the amount of delirious substance and fine grade should not exceed the limit as shown in table 7. Show the size sheet of the U.S. standard size square mesh, the cumulative percentage of weight passing individual sleeves. Table 6. Table 7 show the grading of the fine agent clay clumps, fine particles 1.0%, weight material finer than 200, 3.0, weight limited weight, lightweight particles 0.5. Alright, aggregated for the calibration of hard standards. Avoid the inclusion paid with the concrete with the iron oxide with the iron rich material to have magnetic particles with the interfere with the operation of the facility with the concrete aggregated proposed with the providing Paving, calibration, hard stands with the subjective detail with the petrographic analysis of the corner of the ASTM C295 with the prior substantive of the special attention will be given to the existing of the magnite with the granite with the high iron material of the trapite, pyrite, and the limestone with the free iron oxide with the slag aggregate, while those for the aggregated source for the included with the concrete specification, so for the not approved with the concrete U with the calibration hard stands will indicate. Aggregated with the power check pads. Check concrete will be exposed with the extent of the high jet engine for the plaster with the maintenance. Can be igneous rock with a low silica with a high contact ferro, magnesium, and a mineral slag aggregated to improve the performance of the high temperature of the aggregate. Rich in silica with a quarterite with a should be avoided. Aggregated with a high silica content with a sandstone with a granite with especially coarse grain can cause problems. Calcareous aggregates such as limestone and dolomite are acceptable. 6. Admixtures. Admixtures are used to modify the properties of the fresh with the hardened concrete. Admixture with the used to improve the workability with the control. Initial set will reduce the heat generation, accelerate strength gain, increase strength, improve the durability. Set with the chemical with the admixtures were listed in Portland cement concrete ASTM C494, as well as Type A water reducing mixture, Type B with retarding mixture, Type C with accelerating admixture, Type D water reducing and retarding admixture, Type E water reducing accelerator admixture, Type 5 water reducing high range mixture, Type G water reducing high range retarding mixture. Air entering admixture for the providing resistance to freezing and thawing should meet with the requirement to ASTM C260 will normally require with the concrete pavement from smaller than 1,600 cubic yards. Air entering cement must be considered with the UV mixture with the depending on the economics UV the site condition. Flow with the mixtures will vary depending on the condition of the structure for the cement type, specific mixture proportion of the ambient temperature of the water with the water quality. Furthermore, in a mixture may be served with the quality with the concrete. Some of the desirable properties may adversely affect. Consequent with the decision, that mixture must be based with the experience with the test of the cement aggregate with a mixture of the representative of those used in the project. Must be demonstrated with the final concrete proposed pavement quality with the non-adversely affected the use of the proposed mixture with the manner extends with the guidance of the mixture provided in ACI 212 1R and ACI 212 2R. R7 polysins. Polysins are defined with the ASTM C618 as silicose, and aluminous material with themselves possess little or no cementitious value, but are finely divided with the presence of the moisture. Chemical react with the calcium hydroxide, or in temperature for the compound post-EF immense for the property of this ACM specification. Recognized with the class of the pozzolans provided for the detail requires each of the class 9 pozzolans for all of the calcinated natural pozzolans, such as the diatomaceous earth of the opaline share of the volcanic ash clay within shales. Fly ash divided into two classes. The class F fly ash produced by burning anthracite with the bituminous coal, and class C fly ash produced by burning igniting or bituminous coal. Environmental Protection Guidelines published in the 1983 Title 40 CFR Part 249 require that the fly ash must be allowed all federal projects unless they can be proven technically unsuitable. Pozzolane may be substituted for a maximum of 25% of the volume of the Portland with the concrete with the pavement is substituted with the pozzolane that would limit with the contemplated through the test program. I show for the proposed substitution limit into the reverse for the workability, the mixture for the performance, strength, for the durability of the final concrete. Pozzolane particularly have the specific gravity appreciably lower than the Portland cement. Pozzolane limit is for the percent of the volume of the cement if the material within general with the concrete with contained with the pozzolane improve the workability, lower heat, hydration, slow strength gain of the pozzolanes are used. They require the gain with the design strength with the increase beyond with its 28 days of the road and street for 9 days airfield with the extent of the concrete with the needed exposed with the traffic class N problem with the generally encountered with the pavement with the construction with the fly ash over the becoming increasingly common and fly ash produced with the industrial burning with the coal tar tends to highly variable depending on the factor that such a measure with control of the loading and the boiler design production variability with the compound further by natural variability ignite with the submitted coal with the produce the class C pozzolane. Also class C pozzolane has more resistance sulfate. It attacks some of the high alkali content that may contribute to the alkali aggregated reduction. Specification polygen should require the ASTM 618 with the specification modified to require the maximum loss for the ignite 68% respectively class 5 and F and N with the minimum polymeric activity index of the limit of 900 psi within 7 days with the mixture proportioning study should be used. Same polygen cements that will be used and the project must determine the final concrete characteristics, strength, gain, and durability are adequate. 8. Miscellaneous materials. We can cut the tape there.